Best game of the year, worst game of the year, best game of the year. Man, we had a week with the Buffalo Sabres, 9-3. We'll recap the win over Chicago coming up here in the Locked On Sabres podcast.
Your Locked On Sabres, your daily podcast on the Buffalo Sabres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome in to this Friday night edition of the Locked On Sabres podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. You can watch the show on YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe us there. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Be sure to check out our Locked On Sabres Text Club. If you'd like to sign up for that and you are not already a subscriber, you can head over to the website, joinsubtext.com/LockedOnSabres, and then the rest is just on your messaging app. Sneaky Joe DiBiase here, following Sabres and Blackhawks 9-3, the final. What a game. We'll get to what we saw in the result, all that came with it, the goals, the scoring chances from beginning to end, the goaltending, Jason Zucker's return, Mattias Samuelsson, Alex Tuch, some big contributions, Josh Doan. We are now a quarter of the way through the season, and right at that borderline, the Sabres had their best effort maybe of the year. They did that twice this week. It was a total Jekyll and Hyde type of week from the Sabres. I want to reiterate, I do not think that is crazy. I do not think that is unlike other bad teams in the NHL. One thing that I think gets misconstrued a lot about the Sabres, and this is not necessarily different from other bad teams, is they will have nights like this. They will look this good. Teams that are not good hockey teams will have games like that where they look dominant. And then the next game, they might underperform. And you go, why can't, if this team can just play like what this night was every night, they'll be great. But those are the great teams that do that. The bad teams have great nights. There's 82 games. It's going to happen. So I don't want to make this a whole point about the season. And I can't believe the Sabres can have a week like this. You can. If they're a bad team, bad teams have weeks like this. And are they a bad team? You know, again, like I'm not 100% sure because guys are healthy now. And if everybody's healthy at the same time, what do they look like? Because we haven't really seen that. So anyways, we'll get to that, though. That's bigger picture stuff. Starting with the game, though, we'll get to it all. And yeah, what a night. It was my first time ever sitting on the glass for this game. I'm sitting right in row one, right on the blue line. The blue line that in the offensive zone that the Blackhawks would have been shooting twice on. So I did get a good amount of goals. 3 goals from the Sabres in the second period. Very balanced effort. 3 goals in the first, 3 goals in the second, 3 goals in the third for the Buffalo Sabres. And they came right out. And they were great from the opening bell. The Blackhawks had something like 3 shots on goal with just a couple of minutes to go in the first period. They did not challenge Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen much at all in this game. The Sabres were the better team. And this could be one of those games where you're up throughout a lot of it. You're playing prevent, you're just trying to hold the lead, and the other team piles up the chances and the shots on goal, and that did not really happen. So because it was a complete effort and they got out to a great start, it made the game a lot more fun. I thought it made the game a lot less stressed. Once they go out to a 3-0 lead, Chicago did get it to what? They got it to a 3-goal game twice. But even then, there wasn't a whole lot of stress. Maybe the most stressed you ever would have been in this game was after Alex Vlasic had made it 5-2 Chicago. Connor Bedard comes in on a breakaway. So he's coming in alone on UPL. A goal makes it a 2-goal game with more than a period to go. You would have been stressed had that puck found the back of the net. Biggest save of the night from Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, a very big one for him to stop that and keep it 3 goals. So stress levels weren't that high because they always had the lead. As I mentioned, for me personally, it was a lot of fun because the first time sitting on the glass, and that's a super cool experience, honestly. And It's very different. Like when you are on top of the ice like that, or you're right next to it, the size and speed of the players, you might think that it won't be that different compared to like row 10 or row 20. Man, it was. That was pretty incredible. The beer sabers, the swords where fans were buying them up. And if you were in the arena, this will be remembered as the beer saber game. Everybody on the Jumbotron is chugging out of the beer saber. If you were at the game, you saw those things are not designed to chug beer out of, because everybody that tried to do it spilled it all over front of themselves. The wave in this game, this game had a lot of energy in the crowd. A nice Friday night game. There were a lot of Chicago fans in there. But so it was a pretty full building. 17,058 was the announced attendance. So really cool night to be in the arena. As I mentioned, opening bell, Sabres ran out and they got ahead. Josh Doan, one of the stars of the game, I thought for sure, even though he did actually get the second star of the game, scoring twice. That opening goal, really nice effort by him. The Thompson, Tuch, and Doan line were very strong throughout the entirety of the night. They scored, it was 3 goals as a line in this one. And just through the 3 forwards, they scored 3 goals. And Doan finishing a couple of opportunities in this one. That opening goal, as I mentioned, he follows up on his own rebound. He had gotten into a very good scoring position. Tuch had worked the boards. Thompson found him in front. And then Doan is able to get his own rebound and lift it over Soderstrom's pad. A very big game for Jason Zucker in this one, returning from his viral illness that he had, and maybe he had some adrenaline returning to the lineup, but he was very strong in this game, and he got them out to that 2-0 lead, 5th goal of the year at the time. Jack Quinn made an amazing pass to kind of suck the defenseman in low, drop it back to Zucker, and then he was able to beat the goalie clean. So Zucker with a goal and a couple of other points on the night, 2 assists. So very big effort from him. That line looked really good between Quinn, Zucker, and Ryan McLeod. They also scored 3 goals on the night, and that is just at 5-on-5, by the way, that they scored 3 goals. And then contributions from others. Bo Byram on the power play, sneaks down low from his natural spot at the top. Tuch finds him, and he puts it past him. Ryan McLeod with another contribution. A goal where he's flying down the middle of the ice. Zucker finds him. He beats him. Josh Doan again. Dahlin and Doan coming in. Kind of a quasi 2-on-1. Dahlin's being pushed from behind, but Doan is able to fight off contact, and while doing that, to go bar down the way he did. That's an awesome effort and goal by Josh Doan. That's the type of goal that goal scorers score and physical goal scorers score. He is being leaned on by the defenseman, and with that contact to put the puck where he did is super impressive. And to have the conviction to do it, because a lot of guys could have thought they could have slid the puck back to Dahlin, because again, it was kind of a 2-on-1. Maybe you would have been able to do that, but you're risking the pass being broken up there. Doan had the conviction to say, I am going to the net, and I am putting this puck in the net myself. I'm not risking a pass, and he did. So he's got 7 goals on the year, and hey, we're at the point of simple math. 21 games. All you got to do is multiply by 4 to figure out a guy's pace. So 7 goals, 7 assists for Josh Doan. He's on pace for 28 goals and 56 points. And I did a little thought exercise with him tonight after his game, looking back at his dad's career. Shane Doan with the Winnipeg Jets very early in his career, and then the Phoenix Coyotes. And I obviously wasn't, I was a baby when Shane Doan is a young player in the league, so I don't remember it, like what the start of his career was. He was a slow starter. Shane Doan did not get off to this hot offensive start in his career. At 22 years old, Shane Doan in 79 games had 6 goals and 22 points. Josh Doan at 22 years old, same age, last year had 7 goals and 19 points, but in 51 games. So actually he had more points per game. But either way, similar enough, right? 19 points, 22 points. Josh Doan, Shane Doan, 22 years old, not a lot of offense. 23, Shane Doan had 26 goals and 25 assists for 51 points. And right now, Doan's on pace for 28 goals and 56 points. So, just it's a little bit of maybe of a coincidence so far, but the career arc of Josh Doan looks very similar to his dad. So if you're daydreaming about what Josh Doan could be for the Buffalo Sabres long term, he could just be his dad. And that would be a huge win if that were to be the case. So long way to go until that. But he was getting me very excited watching him in this game and doing it on a top line. He looks like he belongs on a top line. And that is not, I was hopeful he could help them this year, but for him to look like that on skilled lines, number one power play units, couldn't be going better. One fewer point than JJ Peterka, by the way, so far this season. So he's equaled the production of the guy that they traded away in part to get him. Other goals in this game. We'll get to Mattias Samuelsson because I think he deserves his own kind of segment here. Another great game from him. Tage got a nice goal. Toe dragged to the front of the net. He did kind of fan on the puck, and that helped, I think, actually, because he went 5-hole on it. I'm not sure if he said post-game whether he meant to do that or not. I don't think there's any chance in the world he meant to do that, but still a good play, him and Tuch, and he got his 11th of the year. Quinn and Bryson add a couple of padding stats at the end. We're almost at 10. They almost got to 10. 10's just a little bit more memorable. The one thing I want to say about this game on the overall, because, again, there's really no complaints. They were great all the way through. Effort was great. They kept scoring. They didn't back off. Chicago getting to within 3. Like, Sabres kept going after them. They never really went to prevent. They thought they could control the puck and keep getting chances, and Chicago had played the night before. The Sabres thought they could outwork them because of energy, and they did, and they made the right bet on that. So everything really was pretty darn good in this game. If you're in our text club, you saw my bet of the night was Sabres minus a goal and a half. Sabres on the puck line. And the reason I liked that bet tonight, and this game really went to this. The Buffalo Sabres, I've noticed multiple times, and you probably have too in recent years, that some of their best games come immediately after they have been embarrassed. And Wednesday, they were embarrassed by the Calgary Flames, the worst team in the National Hockey League. And it reminds me of 2 years ago when Don Granato was still the head coach. And there are other examples of this too, but this to me is the number one example of this. You got embarrassed and you showed up the next game. The Buffalo Sabres on a Tuesday night at KeyBank Center got smoked by the Columbus Blue Jackets. They allowed 9 goals by Columbus. And there were fire Granato chants in the arena. They got embarrassed, the Sabres. The next game, at home against Toronto, they scored 9 goals. Their best game maybe of that season. They went from allowing 9 to scoring 9. They got embarrassed, and they showed up in the next game. And that happened again here. And maybe that frustrates you that they play at their best after that happens. But I thought that was a pretty nice bet. I thought the Sabres would win this game tonight. And but I have to say they well exceeded my expectations. I did not have Sabres minus 5.5 goals. I had them minus 1.5 goals. So I felt good about that the whole way through. When we come back, Mattias Samuelsson, another goal, and just really want to put into context how good he's been this season. That when we return here in the Locked On Sabres podcast. Today's episode of Locked On Sabres is presented by Monarch. To be honest, most of us cannot even name all our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, and investments, it is easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that'll bring your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Can help you stay organized with accounts. You could track your spending, get a better handle on your investments without ever having to touch a spreadsheet. Monarch's visual dashboards, smart tools make it so much easier to understand where your money is going and how to make it work harder for you. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. It's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. Sneaky Joe DiBiase, late on a Friday night here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Got home from the arena. Wanted to jump right on. Exciting game. Can't have gone any better. Nothing could have gone any better in this one. So really cool night to be in the arena. So the Sabres get the win, and they're 3 stars of the game. Understandable. Alex Tuch, number 1. He had 4 assists on the night. And he could have had a goal, too. He hit the post right before Josh Doan made it 1-0. Doan was the number 2 star. Makes sense. Jason Zucker was the number 3 star. Same thing. Like you could have put a bunch of guys in there. One guy that I think you could have put on there, even though what he ended up with on the night. Definitely had the 1 goal, and that was it. Only 1 point, but he led the Buffalo Sabres in ice time. Mattias Samuelsson, 24 minutes and 33 seconds of ice time. He scored again. And I got to tell you, that is one of the craziest things that is happening in the league this year. Really. Like, I guess the overall of Samuelsson is one of the craziest things, but the points that he's putting up, 4-game point streak, this guy's not offensive historically at any level of hockey. But 5th goal of the year. For comparison, or just for context, Samuelsson in his career had 7 goals in his first 212 games. His first 212 games, he had 7 goals. In 19 games this season, he has 5. And tonight's goal, he gets a shot from the point, and it goes off a leg. But still, he's getting into opportunities to get shots through. The shots are hard, and they're finding their way. Sometimes he's beating the goalie clean, or in this one, he's getting lucky with the deflection. But there's offense from Samuelsson. And this is where I really want to start to think about what is he right now in terms of league standards? Because whenever I've talked about, or anyone has talked about Samuelsson so far this year, for him, it's only 19 games played. It is in comparing him to himself, to what he was last year, to what he was the year before, or even what he was in his best season, which was the 22-23 season, where the Sabres missed the playoffs by 1 point. That year, by the way, again, offense just wasn't a part of his story. 2 goals and 8 assists in his best season. He had 10 points. This year, he's already at 11. So he's already set his career high in goals. Samuelsson, comparing to his past self, it's light years better than it's been the last 2 years. And it's definitely better than he even was in his best season in 2022-23. There are a lot of numbers that point to Samuelsson is having a defensive impact as well as anybody in the league so far this season. And there were a couple of plays like that tonight. There was one play that he completely shut down behind the net where he threw that big stick out and he forced a breakup, and then he got it out of the zone and completely killed a good zone possession by Chicago. And he had a couple of plays like that. So he is shutting plays down defensively. And again, some of those numbers show, like, defensively, he might be a top 5, top 10 defenseman in the NHL so far this year. At least his impact, what's happening with the Sabres on the ice when he's out there, is to that level. He also now has more goals than every defenseman in the NHL except for 4. So top 5 goal scorer in the NHL by defenseman right now. And add to that 6 assists in 18 games, which isn't bad. And now it's not going to maintain at this level because I don't think this is crazy or overstating it. I think you could realistically argue, I think it's going to sound crazy, but I think it's real. If you said right now season's over at 21 games, right? 21 game season, it's a weird, something happens. 21 game season. And you had to vote on awards right now, I think Mattias Samuelsson would get Norris votes. I don't think he'd win the Norris. I think he'd get Norris votes. Really? Or maybe he wouldn't, but he would deserve to get them. I think that is how good he's been so far this year. Again, no way you're getting that for all 82 games. It's just not realistic to expect that he is going to maintain at this level. But I'm looking at everything I can look at to see, because you can watch the games, and I have seen a player that shuts plays down, but you don't always know if that's 100% accurate. All the numbers point to it is. So if he's an elite defenseman and he's giving defensive defenseman so far this year, and he's giving you offense. Like, start thinking about Samuelsson not in terms of what he's been in the past to himself, but what he's doing compared to his peers. Because compared to his peers right now, it's been awesome. His evolving hockey page, it's early in the season, I know, but 98th percentile amongst defensemen in goals above replacement, 95th percentile offensively, 93rd percentile defensively. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And he deserves all the credit for how hard he worked in the offseason. There were some stories told about that and how he's been trying to get his body to a place where he could stay healthier. He's now playing as many minutes as he played in every year except the 1 year in 22-23. Another great game from him tonight. And again, playing the most minutes, number one pair. Do not take him off the number one pair. Keep him with Dahlin and pray that this continues. It's pretty cool. You know, like, this is one of those things where it's like, you know, because I was very hard on Samuelsson, as were a lot of people, but maybe, you know, me as much as anybody. I just hated his game the last 2 years so much. And I thought because of the weird buyout rule for under 25-year-old players that it made all the sense in the world to buy him out. Just be done with it and end it this offseason. And this is one of those things where it's like, you know, maybe you're seeing there's some social media stuff with the Ryan McLeod, Matt Savoy trade and admitting you're wrong or whatnot. I have no problem admitting that I'm wrong at all. Like, at least when it's good for the Sabres, right? Like, when you're wrong about a player being bad or when you're, you know, and he ends up being good, that's great. It does suck when, you know, obviously you think a guy's gonna be great and it's the other way around. But in this case, like, go Samuelsson, honestly, because right now he's helping because Byram is not giving you what you want. And because Power is not all the way giving you what you want. And Kesselring is injured. So, like, him proving people wrong is necessary at the moment. Dahlin, of course, being away for a little bit of time. It's necessary. Byram on that third pair, he did score tonight, but some of his numbers look like it's not really happening. Him and Timmins playing together aren't maybe making the best impact, but that's your third pair. So it doesn't get you killed when it's your third pair. Power, again, like, up and down. He makes a really good impact, and then on a shift-to-shift basis, but there are these individual plays that drive you crazy. Samuelsson being as rock, and Kesselring being out, Samuelsson being as rock solid as he's been, I think has been needed. And it might continue to be needed by this team. So hopefully he stays healthy and continues to play this well. He is not going to score 25 goals or whatever he's on pace for. But if he gets the double digits, that'd be unbelievable. He was great in this game. 9-3, Sabres over the Blackhawks. When we come back, we will take a quick look at the standings because they're in last still, but again, like, there's ways to look at it to be optimistic. That when we come back here in the Lockdown Sabres podcast. Today's episode of Locked On Sabres is presented by Rugiet. Let's be real, making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've heard them before. It's just stress, I'm tired, or it happens to everybody sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. That's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet.com offers fast-acting doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rugiet, you just get connected with a board-certified doctor, 100% online. There's no awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, all handled by real doctors, all about confidence, connection, getting back to the moments that matter. Visit Rugiet.com/LockedOnNHL to get 15% off your first order. Rugiet.com, RUGIET/LockedOnNHL. Don't forget, use the code LockedOnNHL so they know we sent you. Rugiet, stop making excuses, start making moves. Today's episode also presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Hockey back, NBA back, football, college football in full swing. No better place to get on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of a game and you got something that you like and you want to throw it in, FanDuel's live bets on everything from who will score next to third period comebacks and many more. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. Keeps every game more exciting. especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So again, new customers, $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com, sign up, play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, we are wrapping things up here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Last call, 9-3. Really wanted them to get to 10, but that's all right. By the way, I did get this question on our text club a couple times. How on earth did Chicago leave their goaltender, Arvid Soderblom, to get 9 goals against? How did they leave him in for that? Remember a couple years ago when the Sabres left Eric Comrie in against the Dallas Stars, and I think he allowed 10? Sometimes there's different circumstances. If I remember right, for that Comrie game, it was a lot of the goals came late, and it was almost, there wasn't enough time left in the game for it to make sense to change goalies. There's only 4 minutes left or something. This one, think the reason you saw Soderblom stay in for all 9, which could be tough for a goaltender when you're left out to dry like that. I think it's because they played the night before and they didn't want Spencer Knight to have to play more minutes after playing the night before when he's the number 1 goalie. If it's the other way around and your starter is getting chased like that and you've got to play your backup after he had played the night before, maybe you're willing to do that. Maybe with your starter, you're less willing to do that because you don't want to risk injury as much as you would with a backup. That's what I thought was happening there. So Soderblom, though, right, 21 saves on 30 shots. That will hurt his numbers for the season, no doubt about it. Very quick word on Luukkonen, because I got questions about him. Again, I did not like him in the first 2 periods, other than the big save on Connor Bedard on the breakaway. That was needed. That was huge. But otherwise, like, the Sabres were so dominant in this game that there was almost no way Luukkonen could blow it. And maybe even tried. Again, I didn't like either of those first 2 goals from him. The second goal by Alex Vlasic in the second period, like, that's a shot from the point, and you're not fully screened. Timmins is kind of in front of him, but Luukkonen, you see him. He's leaning to the left. He's got a clear path of vision to the puck. And it wasn't a wicked slap shot. Like, it was a shot by Vlasic. He should have made that save. And I thought he should have made the save on Bertuzzi as well. So, not going to go nuts on him. I thought he was fine after the Bedard save. But I definitely think that if it was a closer game, that Luukkonen was not maybe up to it. Anyways, didn't kill him. The standings and the schedule. Where we go from here, the Sabres at the moment are last in the East still by themselves, but 20 points in 21 games. That is 4 points back of the playoffs. It also, again, this is kind of the amazing nature of the East so far, and also how the NHL point system is completely broken. The Sabres are in last place in the East, right? They are 4 points out of the playoffs. They are 4 points out of third in the Atlantic. They are 4 points out of second in the Atlantic, and they are 5 points out of first in the Atlantic Division. How about that? 5 points out of first in the division. The whole division is separated by 5. So, it's not to say they're going to do it and that they are going to climb over all 7 teams that are ahead of them, because that's a lot of teams, but they are not dead yet. And they might even deserve to be for some of the stretches of play they have showed this season. But listen, the division is not putting them away. That's the story here. It's not as much the Sabres have looked good or they've really, really fought to stay alive here early in the season. They've won 3 or 4, and they're playing better. But no, this division didn't put them away because it's not a very good division. And that was predictable. I predicted it going into the season. Was not alone on that, thinking that Toronto would take a step back. They have. That Florida would struggle to overcome injuries to Barkov and Kachuk. They have. That Montreal could fall back to earth because they got really good goaltending last year, and it's still a pretty young team. They have. Who else? Boston. I mean, Boston actually is overachieving. I thought Boston would be the worst team in the division, and they're 12-10. So, all right, Boston. Ottawa, good team, but not quite all the superstar talent. 24 points, not a stunner. I did pick them to win the division. We'll see. Tampa, right? Like, little older. They can kind of fall asleep at the wheel a little bit in the first half of the year, and then they turn it on later. Okay, 24 points in 20 games. Not great. Not a stunner. Detroit, -5 goal differential. They've lost some games. You just don't have star talent. John Gibson maybe being a bit of a question mark, even though it was an upgrade. Like, it's division. The division has not put them away at all. So, all right, they're still got a shot here, and keep rolling it and keep trying to climb your way back in. The problem is the next 3 games are fairly difficult. You could actually really expand that out a little bit further. You could probably say that about the next 5 games for the Buffalo Sabres. Home against Carolina is next on Sunday. 1 o'clock. You get it at home at least, but the Hurricanes have often had the Sabres number. They have been one of the better, more consistent regular season teams. They are first place in the Eastern Conference. So, tough game. 1 o'clock. And after playing 2 teams in a row that had been playing the night before, Carolina, meanwhile, gets 2 days off going into, or they get the 1 day off, I guess, same as the Sabres, going into Sunday. So, not on a back-to-back. Maybe they play their starting goalie. That's going to be a tough one. And then all those games beyond that will be tough too. But Carolina's next, and theoretically, the Sabres could pull to within 2 points, depending on what happens in other games around the conference in the next 2 days. They could be within 2 points of the playoffs. If they do that, it's going to feel like we have a season to still watch here. All right, great night, great game, 9 goals. Only 3 against. You beat Chicago with a lot of Blackhawks fans in attendance, and it's a pretty sweet feeling. That is going to do it for us today here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. By the way, we do our bet of the night for the text club. If you are, and sometimes we don't always have that on a weekend or, whatever. If you would like that every game, and it's not just that. If you want updates on practice and who's going to start in goal right away, or waiver moves, or if you've got a comment or a question you want answered, be sure to check out our text club. It's a really good club, really good people, and you can hit it up at joinsubtext.com/LockedOnSabres. Be sure to check out Locked On NHL Game Night, every game all around the league until Stanley Cup champion is crowned. Available wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your number 1 sports podcast network. We'll talk to you on Monday here on the Locked On Sabres podcast.